I found one of the best defenses against narcissism is to be able to spot it as early as possible. And a lot of what's on the internet in regards to narcissists lists a lot of the same information. Their traits, oh, they'll do this and that. The problem is, a lot of that is pretty far down the road. And it's ideal to weed them out as soon as possible, because once you know what they probably are, then you can put the defenses up right away. And the sooner you put the defenses up, the less awkward of a situation it'll probably cause, unless you like awkward situations. But if you're more towards the empathic side, chances are you probably don't. One of the earliest indicators of a narcissist that happens in conversation is the monologue. And this is a good indicator to know, because I've been surprised by a lot of people from it. People that I weren't suspecting were narcissists. This was a tip-off early on. A lot of the times I didn't know this yet, so I'd have to see more indicators and more signs. But it was always the case. And had I known then what I know now, I would have been able to cut the communications off a lot earlier. But the narcissist monologue, it's not your regular acting monologue that you think of. But what I mean by that is they don't stop talking. It's a one-way conversation. They're just talking and talking to you, but not really acknowledging you. And me explaining it, words don't do it justice unless you've experienced this. A lot of things with narcissism tend to be like that. If you're a good communicator, a healthy conversation involves talking and listening. And it doesn't always have to be 50-50. And I'm not saying when you are there holding space for a friend who's going through a hard time and it's communicated beforehand they need to vent and you're okay with that. You can handle and you do accept it. I'm not talking about that, because there's certain times where it's beneficial for us to vent. That's not what I'm talking about. This is done on a more consistent basis for it to qualify as a narcissist monologue. In a narcissist monologue, they'll start talking to you, and then they'll keep on talking, and you want to respond to it, but they'll keep on talking. Then they'll keep talking some more, and the conversation will just keep going and going and going. I've seen this happen for 40 to 60 minutes sometimes. The narcissist will just keep going on and not stop. They won't allow any opportunity for the person or people that they're talking to respond at all. The crazy part about a narcissistic monologue is when they're through talking about one subject, and usually this is where they give the other person a chance to weigh in, they'll switch topics without interruption and then talk about another topic. If someone engages in the narcissistic monologue, there's a very good chance that they are a narcissist. I have not seen it proven otherwise to this day. Another very early indicator of a narcissist in conversation is, and I don't know if this is the correct term for it, but this is what it was called when I used to watch movies with closed captions or subtitles. They call it clicking teeth or sucking tongue. It's like or noise. And I've seen multiple covert narcissists do this gesture. It's weird because they'll usually pause, do the gesture, and then appear as if they're lost in thought. While I certainly wouldn't label someone with a cluster B personality disorder on that alone, it's happened multiple times, and every single one that did that was a covert narcissist. I've personally found that I can even detect a narcissist oftentimes before they even approach. This goes more for the overt narcissists. I find they tend to have very heavy feet. And by that, I mean you can hear them coming, because a lot of the times they'll literally stomp. I've seen the cause of this being debated. Is it just because narcissists have very heavy energy? Or is it part of their child throwing a tantrum act? And it could be both. I truly believe that narcissists do have a very heavy energy. Negative, dark energy does tend to have more of a palpable weight to it than lighter and positive energy for sure. On the other hand, I know at least some of the time they do it on purpose, because that will certainly command your attention due to the stomps and the thuds. Also, it can be very annoying, and they love to do that. So while I'm sure part of it is due to something they can't immediately help, on the other hand, I think they do control it at least some of the time. This next one might not be for everybody, but if you're a healer or are just someone who is sensitive to energy, then this might be able to help you. And that is, narcissists give off a nervous energy. It'll strike you as odd too while it's happening, because they also try to present themselves as very calm. But the reality is they're anything but. So if you see someone who's very collected, but you're still picking up that frenetic energy at the same time, and something feels off, that is a giant red flag that person might be a narcissist. Last, but certainly not least, charisma. I've explored this and talked about it with others who are interested in this topic at great length. And the conclusion I've come to is that charisma isn't a natural human trait. Because when you think about it, an authentic person is just who they are. They're comfortable with that. They don't have to put on pretense. Someone who is very charismatic is usually after something. Anyone who's shown charisma to me has always ended up being a narcissist or psychopath. And if you don't believe me, just read the newspaper article about someone who just had a big falling down. They're at the center of some scandal, or they just got sentenced for something horrible they did. Invariably, there'll be a quote from one of their friends or family members. "I don't know how this happened. They were so charismatic." And that right there shows you why those types of people do that. They put on the charisma to lure in victims. So now, whenever there's an introduction and someone tells me, "Oh, you'll love this person, they're very charismatic," a light bulb immediately goes off over my head that I should be very wary from that point on. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Narcissist Hunters, where I give you all the tips, tactics, and tricks you need so the next time you encounter a toxic person, you'll get missed by the narcissist.